I'm not really concerned with those. I'm not really concerned with like reaching out or hearing from or connecting with very holy people or people who have it all together. I'm more interested in like people who are struggling, people who have strong objections to the Catholic faith, people who don't understand everything we teach. I think that's kind of where faith begins, right? Where you kind of discover who you really are. And so what do you struggle with? What do you think the church, not priest and like religious, struggle with? But this channel is not, this channel is geared more towards, the common everyday man and woman who's Catholic or Christian. If you want to watch, everyone's welcome here. This channel is really geared towards things that concern us, right? Because we are like 99.9% of the church, and we don't always get kind of the focus, or there's not a lot. Again, there's not a lot of content that is specifically geared towards us, and that's the whole reason for this channel. And so, if you feel like you're imperfect, this is for you. I'm not really concerned with those. I'm not really concerned with like reaching out or hearing from or connecting with very holy people or people who have it all together. I'm more interested in like people who are struggling, people who have strong objections to the Catholic faith, people who don't understand everything we teach. I think that's kind of where faith begins, right? Where you kind of discover who you really are, and what you're struggling with, and kind of where you are in your faith, right? We're not all in the same place. So today I'm going to be talking about two areas that we, the church laity, typically struggle. And these aren't my ideas or thoughts. This is from a book called The Lay Members of Christ's Faithful People. There is a Latin name for this book. I'm not going to say it because I'm going to mispronounce it, but I'll put a link down below if you want to check it out. This is like one of 2 or 3 books that if you are in the laity, this is one of those books where it kind of talks about what we should be doing in our mission and what we're called to, stuff like that. So two areas where we typically struggle. Number one, let's see, 2 temptations can be cited which they have not always known how to avoid. The temptation of being so strongly interested in church services and tasks that some fail to become actively engaged in their own responsibilities in the professional, social, cultural, and political world. And 2, the temptation of legitimizing the unwarranted separation of faith from life. That is a separation of the gospel's acceptance from the actual living of the gospel in various situations in the world. So let's maybe drill down on number 2 first. I think we all struggle. Definitely we all struggle with number 2. Separation of the gospel's acceptance from the actual living of the gospel in various situations in the world. So, I think, in normal times, not COVID, we go to church. Even now, we watch Mass on television, or we hopefully get some kind of, daily bread on Sunday. And we hear the gospel and like, yes, I accept this gospel. And I'm ready to live it, and I believe it. And then Monday comes, and we're not ready to live it. Either just like traffic, or people at your job are dumb, or they just get on your nerves. Maybe your family gets on your. Maybe you get on your own nerves. I don't know. But there's kind of a separation of, well, here's my spiritual self. Over here, I'm blessed and I have this testimony and God loves me. But then there's certain areas or situations in our life where like we don't bring the gospel to, right? Do we bring the gospel to work? That's a question we have to ask ourselves. Are we actively, the gospel that we believe and receive, that is not just for Sunday, that should be for everyone, and it should be for our whole life? Are we taking that gospel? It doesn't mean you have to open up the Bible and preach at work. It does mean you have to live and act in such a way where people know that you're a Christian. you don't have to preach, right? Because by your actions, by who you are, by the way that you carry yourself, you can preach the gospel. It's a beautiful thing. So I think this is one that we all struggle with, kind of separating our faith life from the rest of our life. And I think when we get in the mode of doing that, or the habit, spiritually and internally, what happens is in our heart, we start to build compartments, compartmentalize the areas of our life, right? So maybe one part of our heart, God has free reign and we let him in, but then another part of our heart, maybe it has something to do with our past or deep wounds, like we don't let God in, and we don't let him near that part. We don't let anyone else near that part, and we keep it hidden because maybe we're ashamed or we're just hurt. So definitely one area that's holding us back, the laity, but also I think it holds the universal church back as well, because if we ourselves aren't living in accordance with the gospel, not just on Sunday, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if we're not living in accordance with the gospel that we receive on Sunday, right, then we're not doing justice to God's kingdom. We're not transforming the world. The one mission that we, the laity, that this is our responsibility, right, to transform the world. It's not really the responsibility of priests. Correct me if I'm wrong. Transforming the world out there, right, away from the physical building of the parish, that's not really the priest's religious. That's our responsibility. This is something that belongs to our mission. And so if we're not living in accordance with the gospel, then we're definitely like hurting that mission. So first thing, that was part 2. Let's go to part 1. Let's back up. Being so strongly interested in church services and tasks that some fail to become actively engaged in their own responsibilities in the professional, social, cultural, and political world. I don't think everyone struggles with this, but I think many people do. Maybe you are at a good place in your life and you're going to church and you're doing all these things, and but maybe you become so active and so interested, and that you start to neglect the things in your own personal life that God is calling you to do, that actually may be part of his like grand mission and grand plan, to transform the world and to build his kingdom on earth. Because going back from the second example, if maybe we're too involved, we're too concerned with what's going on in the church, that can be either we're too concerned with church politics, that we let things get in the way of our worship, right? Or it could be like we're just it is possible to be too involved in church. If you're there, 3 or 4 days a week serving in the church, but then you start to neglect, family life, maybe not even that, just your own personal life, right? Your professional life, the things going on with your friends and your family, like God is very interested in those things concerning you, right? He's not just interested in what you do on Sunday in a physical building in church. He's interested, with every little minute of your life, and he wants to be present in all those minutes and those moments. Personally, this is something that I've struggled with in the past, of just kind of being, I think when you fall in love with the church, you want to serve the church, and maybe it's comfortable being there, and it's such a blessing to serve in church ministry, but I do think you have to be very grounded and remember that, like, your home, your family is the domestic church, and that's the first ministry. For some people, that's meant to be the only ministry, right? You're just devoted to your family. And what good is it, if I'm a lamp or a light for others, but I'm leaving like my own family or like my own people who are calling out to me in my own life, if I'm leaving them in darkness to kind of go be a light for someone over here, there's a disconnect somewhere there. So there's a lot more we could say on that. I don't want to say too much, but let me know what you think. Do you think these are the two biggest areas that the church, laity, we struggle, or do you think we struggle in other areas? So, very interesting. I've been reflecting and kind of thinking about these things. I read this last week. I've been thinking about these things. I think for the most part they're true, and it kind of just makes me think. Well, I really like. It makes me think. Number one, I definitely need to practice, like integrating all those areas of my life, like faith. I need to integrate faith in all those areas of my life, right? Not just my spiritual life. Or I'm okay at it, but I fail a lot, and I'm sure we all fail. But and the first one, the first point to me is kind of liberating, because I think there's people who think, well, I only go to church on Sunday, and there's people who they're at like church almost every day, and they're so good, and I can't be them. Maybe they shouldn't be at church that much. Like, if you have a home life, if you have kids, you have a family, if you have responsibilities at home, like that's where God is calling you. That's where He's calling you to serve your family. Your family is the first ministry. And I really believe that like all the wars, all crime, all the bad stuff that's happening in the world is happening because, we're failing to love in the family, right? If we're failing there, then we're going to just create men who don't know who they are, and we're going to create women who don't know their value as women. And all those things, the loss of identity of who we are as God's children. If we all recognize each other as God's children, we wouldn't harm one another. So that's it for this week. Thank you if you made it to the end, thank you for watching to the end. If anything in this video sparked interest or brought value, or you got something from it, please like this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to be coming out with videos at least once a week. If there's someone you think would value from any of these videos, please send them. If you have any future topics you'd like me to discuss, or if you just want to reach out and say hello, please do that, and I'll see you next time.